Thank you so much. Thank you, Bron, for the intro. I think like that poll is very helpful and useful. So we know that we have a diverse audience. So we will try to connect with everyone here. I want to start by thanking and congratulations to the PMI UK chapter. It's the third time that they are doing a sustainability summit, and their commitment to promoting awareness of sustainability has been fantastic. And it's like, thank you to the work of volunteers, speakers, sustainability ambassadors, Joel. So very, very happy to see how you are leading this movement around sustainability in project management. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about sustainability and what does it mean for you in your role as project leaders. I'm going to kick off the presentation and then I'm going to hand over to Joel, that as you heard in the intro, he's an absolute start in the sustainability space. So he will inspire with his own leadership journey. So let's also reflect about the beauty and the power of project management in how we shape the future. Because in a way, through projects, we are impacting organizations, we're impacting society, and we are impacting the world. And that's the ultimate purpose of PMI, is to maximize the project success, to make a positive impact in the way. So the project management profession is the opportunity to be the architects of change. And sustainability is that invitation to have the tools, the resources, the methodology to really create that impact one project at a time. For the ones that are doing the CSPP or familiarized with the P5, perhaps knowing that sustainability is the number one predictor of project success is not something new, but perhaps for the ones that are not being so close to us, it's something that I want to really emphasize. We started research in 2024 around what is a successful project, what is project success, and we identify that projects that are outcome focused are the ones that perform better. And among those predictors, the things that correlate with satisfaction of a project, sustainability came as the number one predictor of project success. So that was info from 2024. In 2025, we continue the research, and the summary is on screen, because we measure the multidimensional aspect of sustainability. So the environmental care, the social value, and the economic resilience. So as you can see on screen, projects that doesn't have a sustainability team have a satisfaction score of 29. If they include social, environmental, or economic, that satisfaction increased to 49. But if they consider the multidimension of sustainability, the satisfaction grows exponentially. So it's a call to action to consider sustainability as a performance driver. Of course, it's the right thing to do. That's without doubt. But it's also a performance driver because it's what brings project success. And if we think of our projects in that systematic way, people, planet, and prosperity, the chances to have successful projects also increase exponentially. So this is a little bit of a reminder, but traditionally, successful projects were measured in terms of budget, scope, and schedule. These days, successful projects are the ones that deliver value at the center of the project delivery, value that worth the effort and the expense. And since we are talking about sustainability, is the predictor of value because we are thinking in a systematic way, in an interconnected way, the value for people, planet, and prosperity in the long term. So it's the number one predictor of putting value at the center of what we do in the project profession. But in order to drive success, in order to have successful projects, we need to earn that through strategic alignment and discipline execution. And we are talking with many organizations at a global scale, and we see that most organizations are committed to sustainability. There are research from the United Nations, more than 99% of CEOs are really invested in sustainability, but the struggle is in the delivery. Sustainability is a strategy without a system. So the role of the project management profession, our role as project leaders, is to help organizations to close that gap, to earn that trust one project at a time. And I'm going to share quick insights from our recent thought leadership report. I said that we have been researching sustainability from 2024, higher predictor of project success, the importance of the multidimensional aspect of sustainability in 2025. And 2026, we identify, I would say, two main insights. One is that organizations are facing a confidence gap. So if we think about the executives of the organizations, 85% of the executives trust the sustainability strategy. But when we go to the PMO level, the one that needs to operationalize sustainability, only 43% trust the sustainability strategy. So there is a big gap between executive trust and operationalization, delivery trust of 42 points. And then we also observe an integration gap. So only 41% of organizations reported that sustainability is fully integrated across projects and functions. So we see a gap of 59% of organizations that are having a sustainability strategy really ambitious, but the delivery is not there. So it's a big opportunity, it's a big call to action for project leaders to step up, to help organizations to close that gap and to have the confidence. And part of the confidence is built through knowledge, resources, methodology, that are the things that we have in our joint venture with Green Project Management to really be leading the sustainable transformation. So we also research that only 20% of project professionals are extremely confident to achieve those sustainability targets. So, as I said, the executives trust in at 85%, PMO leaders 43%, project professionals on a 20%. So this is a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. It's a differentiation opportunity. All of us in this call can step up and be the ones that trust the skills, the resources, the methodology, and can lead that sustainability transformation, because the business case for sustainability is without doubt. Organizations are focusing on that. It's about resiliency, it's about innovation, it's about business growth. So the call to action from an organizational perspective is there. So we need to have the resources, the tools, the methodology to bring that actionability and accountability to our ways of working and help organizations to close that execution gap. So as part of this research that we conducted in 2026, we identify how projects succeed. And they succeed under 6 conditions. So these are your leadership opportunities to really embrace sustainability and bring it to life. Because as we said, it's the #1 predictor of project success. So you will have stronger projects. So the first condition that we identify is about value. We are saying that project success is about value. So we need to make the value explicit and also measurable in business terms. So Brown referenced the MORE mindset and framework. If we are following PMI social media, we're talking a lot about the MORE. The M of the MORE is about managed perceptions. So it's very important that we help our stakeholders to understand the value of sustainability, that we manage their perceptions, that we help them identify that sustainability is about resiliency, it's about business growth, it's about innovation. So we need to talk in business terms, and we also need to bring that measurable aspect, because what gets measured gets done. So value at the center, make it business oriented, make it measurable, so it will be done. The second one is about authority. As a project leader, the authority is very important. So we need to make sure that the portfolio and the project decisions need to reflect the sustainability focus. I have been sharing that gap between ambition and execution. So it's our role as project leaders to step up and make sure that our project is reflecting sustainability. Sustainability is not something that we add onto the project. It's how we do the project, how we execute it, and how we measure it. The third condition is about translation. So we need to have a structured way that translates that sustainability strategy, the organizational strategy, into the project delivery, but at the same time, that takes the information of the project delivery and connects overall with the organization. So our role as project professionals, as project leaders, is wearing those two hats. We are the people that translate the sustainability strategy into the delivery, but also use information from the delivery to track, to measure, and to report. And we have a lot of resources, for example, our sustainability reporting guide for projects that help to do that, to consolidate the information from the project to be material for the organization, to be subject to be reported in the overall system of the organization. The fourth condition is about trade-offs. So we know, unfortunately, that sometimes when we need to deliver and deliver fast, for some people, sustainability is something that gets deprioritized. So if we want to really lead in the sustainability transformation, we need to be advocates for sustainability. We need to hold the line when we face delivery pressures. And sustainability should be the decision-making compass to make decisions, together with finance and other indicators. But we should be using sustainability as a compass for our decision-making, from when we start the project, how would the project progress, and how we close it and measure the impact. The fifth condition is about belief. We need to help other people to connect the impact and the team action. In our research, some people were identified as sustainability skepticals. And that's because sometimes they see sustainability as something nice, as a purpose-oriented initiative, but quite abstract. So our role as project leaders is to help to bring sustainability to life. And the methodology that we have as part of our joint venture with Green Project Management, the P5, is helping to do that, to bring actionability, practicality. What does it mean in practice? So sustainability is not that abstract and nice to have concept, but it's something real on how projects are stronger, resilient, and more innovative. So our role is coming to the MORE, the expand perspective. We need to expand our perspective of what a successful project is, that is value for people, planet, and prosperity in the long term. But also, as leaders, we need to make impact and we need to influence our stakeholders so they also expand their perspective and they really understand what sustainability is about. So we transform skepticals in people that understand that being sustainable is not only the good thing to do or it's an option. We need to do this. It's an imperative. We're missing out. We need to develop that FOMO feeling. We're missing out if we're not being sustainable these days. And the last one is about horizon. We need to govern for the long, less visible horizon. So we identify also in our research that 79% of the people that we survey and interview consider that sustainability equips organizations for the long run. So there is no doubt that being sustainable helps organizations and projects to be ready for the future. The thing is about execution. It's about action. And that's where the project professionals, the project leaders have a unique opportunity to transform this big picture in something concrete, because we are the people that get things done. That's the definition of a project management. We get things done, and organizations need people that get things done in the sustainability space. So you can go into our PMI website and the report, the complete report is there. It's pmi.org/learning sustainability. There you will find this thought leadership report together with the full PMI and GPM ecosystem that is free for our members, and also the CSPP, that is the new certification in sustainability on project management that has two tracks. One, the standard certification, and then a special or fast track for certified project professionals. So it's a great complement as well for the PMPs. And we're seeing that 87% of our current GPMP certification holders are also PMPs. So because it's expansion of perspective and thinking about projects in a systematic way. So before I start wrapping up and hand over to Joel, this is like, in a glance, the different products that we have. We know that PMI and GPM is about learning, connecting, and making an impact. So in the learning piece, the P5, like the heart and the standards for sustainability in project management. But as I said, the project sustainability reporting guide, the practice guide, the competence standard, and in July, the responsible project sponsorship for our project sponsors. And also highlighting that for the first time, sustainability is in the PEM book as well. So that's also showing how the profession is evolving, and sustainability is no more a nice to have, it's a call to action, it's an imperative. We're missing out if we're not being sustainable. We also have thought leadership report, the recent one, executing sustainability strategy. And also we just released an ebook, Leadership That Lasts. The name of this presentation is about leadership, and Joel was one of the SMEs that were part of this book around leadership that lasts, the leadership of the future, how leadership can be sustainable. Then we have the new reinvigorated certification, as I said, in 2 paths, and then PMI and GPM awards around sustainability, and the project of the year, the PMI award, needs to include a sustainability dimension because it's the right thing to do. And this is also supported and reinvigorated, and we are raising awareness through the amazing work that our sustainability ambassadors are doing, Bron being one. We have many people, many ambassadors delivering great presentations in this summit as well, and we have a global network in the different regions. So again, building community around sustainability, because we are in a journey, in a transformation journey, and we need to partner and continue working on these together. So as a wrap up, I would like to you to join Menti. I know that perhaps you are joining for the phone. So if you can help me with these questions, so we can transition to Joel and his amazing part of the presentation. But we would like to, let me test if it's working. We would like to test what is the biggest shift that, listening to the things that I presented, project leaders need to make to thrive in a sustainable future. It's about mindset, it's about metrics, it's about governance, it's about courage, it's about something else. What would you say? So we allow a couple of minutes to complete, and then let me check if, yeah. I can read like most of the response, like 90% mindset. Then there is another response that says, have the sustainability goals in the main business case. Absolutely. Everything starts on bringing sustainability at the heart of what we do, like bringing sustainability as the compass for decision making, for how we plan our project, how we include it in the business case. So it's like the most of response, Joel, for your part of the presentation is mindset. Then we have some comments about metrics, and then the aspect of bringing sustainability to life in everything that we do. So great presentation. Now is waiting for you. That is from Joel, the absolute start on the sustainability space. But I would like to wrap up this presentation, because every project that we have in our hands, it's the boat for the future. So we have the opportunity to be architects of that future and to decide what is the future that we want to make, one project at a time, because we are the ones that get things done. So if we have this mindset, if we have the tool and the methodology to boost our confidence, we can step up as business leaders and really help organizations to be sustainable, not talking the talk, but walking the walk. So thank you so much. And now, Joel, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lucila, and fantastic job as always. Always happy to share the screen with you at any time. So let me just start by saying that for almost 2 decades, I've had one job. And that job is to convince the profession that sustainability is important. I got really good at it. I've got charts, I've got data, I've got slides that make the case in all different languages. And for almost 2 decades, have made that case to governments, to boardrooms, to universities, to project teams on almost every human inhabited continent. Not Antarctica, no penguins want to listen to me, really. So I could give that talk in my sleep, and sometimes I actually probably have. Tonight, though, I'm going to retire it. Not because it failed, because it won. Because I'm looking at the only audience on Earth I no longer have to convince of that. You've been on this the summit today all day, hopefully most of you. It's now, I think, 6 p.m. or so your time, maybe later. This is the last session, and you're still here. You can quietly drop off. No one says, stays logged in to the very end for any idea they don't already believe in. So I'm not going to spend the next half an hour or so selling you something you bought onto a long time ago. It'd be a waste of your evening and an insult to your intelligence. So instead, I'm going to ask you the harder question, the one that's actually been sitting underneath every session today, the one no one has quietly said out loud. And if you believe this, and hope you do, then too many projects are still being run the old way, an approach designed for a world that no longer exists. Why? And what can we do about it? So let me start with why I can sit here at the end of 17 years of persuasion and standing on soapboxes and say, I'm done with that. This is no longer a belief. It's not a hope, and it's not a value statement. It's not the paragraph we paste onto the front of a proposal to look responsible. Lucila showed you the evidence that sustainability is the number one predictor of whether a project succeeds, not a predictor, the predictor. Not whether using Agile or Waterfall or using AI tools, the single strongest signal we have for whether the thing you're building will be standing, still wanted, still be worth it years after the team has moved on. And honestly, you already knew that, right? You knew it in your gut long before there was a research paper to point to. You felt it on every project where you were pushed to cut the corner and you watched that corner come back around and bite you in the rear end. You felt it on the projects where you held the line, where you did the slower, harder, quieter, right thing, and it held, it endured, it became the one people still point to years and years later. So here's what I really need you to absorb. The old way of running a project, scope, schedule, cost, deliver, walk away, that wasn't stupid. It was built for a different world, a world where resources were cheap, felt infinite, where the climate was a backdrop, not a stakeholder. It is today, where capital was patient and nobody outside the room could see what you were doing. That world is gone. It is not coming back. And we are still handing people a method that was designed for it, and then acting surprised the project doesn't hold. That's not a knowledge problem. We know. We've known for years. It's an adoption problem. And I want to tell you about the day I learned painfully the difference between the two. Years ago, when I had a lot more hair, before any of this work had a name, my whole team got sent to training for Prince 2. The company had decided from the top that we needed a structured project method. And it was a real initiative, real budget, senior sponsorship, the whole 9 yards. So we all went, all of us. We sat through it. We learned the framework. We learned the principles. We took practice exams, and we passed. Every single one of us walked out holding the certificate. There was a feeling that week that something was about to change. We were about to become a different kind of organization. Our project's going to be better. And on Monday morning, nothing changed. Not one thing. We logged into the same projects, set the same meetings, and worked the same way we worked the Friday before. The framework we just learned never touched a single real decision because, and here's what no one told us in the training, and what took me years to fully understand, the people got certified, the organization never adopted it. The thing that would have made the method real, the governance, the templates, the gates, the decision rights, the authority, none of it changed. So the method had nowhere to live. And one by one, certificates went into a drawer, and we went back to being exactly who we'd been the week before. Now I've spent the rest of my career building the thing that fixes all that. The standard, the method, the competence, the reporting, everything I'm about to show you in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. I built it because of that Monday morning, because I never wanted to watch another room full of capable, motivated people walk out believing they'd been handed change and watch it crumble. So let me say this as plainly as I know, and I mean it as a promise to every person watching this. I will not let the CSPP become my Prince 2. Now, I'm not saying Prince 2 is bad. It's not. But I'm saying I don't want this to sit in someone's drawer and not ever be used. A credential in a drawer changes nothing. Nothing. But a movement of determined people with the right tools make Monday different. That changes everything. And which one we become is not decided by me or PMI or any standard. It's decided by you. And that's really the key. Now, I want you to understand what makes this moment different, not sustainability in general, this year, because something just happened that has genuinely never happened before in the history of this profession. The toolbox is done, finished. Look what we have now, and it's all free. We have the P5 standard, which was mentioned earlier a couple times that some of you never heard of. That's okay. It's the measuring stick. For the first time, the profession has a baseline on what impact means across people, planet, prosperity. No more everyone inventing their own definition. And let me say something about that measuring stick, because you may have heard a different view today. There's a school of thought that says that the answer is to make all this simpler. Strip out the numbers, swap out the rigor for a few traffic light colors, drop it into a friendly online tool. And I understand the instinct. Complexity is intimidating and simple feels like it's okay. But think about who actually relies on this. When a chief sustainability officer signs their name beneath a disclosure that investors, auditors, and regulators are going to pull apart line by line, they don't need a simple stoplight. They need reliable project data. Projects are complex animals. We know that. Their impacts are more complex, and you don't measure a complex thing by reaching for a simple instrument. You reach for a better one. We owe the profession the real tools, not coloring books. So that's P5 standard. We have a competence standard. We have the practice guide. We have the reporting guide. And next month, Lucila mentioned this in her slides, but next month, the final piece arrives, the sponsor guide. And I'm so excited about this. The one we were always missing, because the gap was never really about the method. We had the methods. The gap was authority. Who actually decides whether a project is worth doing and keeps deciding it? We're going to have to come back to that, because I think it's the key that unlocks everything else. 5 standards, 1 discipline. And for the first time in my career, I can tell you with no exaggeration, there's nothing left to build. And I'm relieved by that. So sit with that for a second, because it's bigger than it sounds. Every excuse we've ever had had to hide behind. We don't have a framework. We don't have a method. We can't measure it. Nobody's defined it. Every one of those excuses is now gone, retired, along with my old talk. What's missing is not document. You have all the documents. What's missing is adoption. And that is the key. And that means from now on, the work is no longer mine. It's not GPMs. It's not PMIs. The standards are built. Whether they ever really matter now depends entirely completely upon the people on this webinar, on you guys, and everyone out there to adopt and put these things actually into practice. So let's talk about you, specifically because this only becomes real if it becomes a movement. And a movement is just a large number of individuals, each deciding the same thing at roughly the same time. Some of you already have a CSPP, we heard that earlier on, or a GPMB. Some of you don't, not yet at least. And I want to be very clear, because this is the part that actually matters. It does not matter where you're starting tonight, or today, or this morning, wherever you are in the world. This is the movement, and a movement needs everyone in it. If you have the credential, understand what it's really for. You're not here to collect a badge for LinkedIn, your signature line. You're here to be the one person in your organization who refuses to let it sit in a drawer, to be the immune system against everything going back to how it was on Friday last week. That's the job. That's the whole job. And if you don't have it yet, you're not on the outside of all this. You're on the runway. This movement does not need you to be certified before you're allowed to care. It needs you to start caring today on whatever project you have. The certification is simply how you sharpen what you've already decided to do. And don't tell yourself, I'm too junior, or I'm even too senior, or too far from decisions to really matter. Movements are not built by the people at the top. They're built by the people who refuse to wait for the people at the top. One of you moves one project. Someone watches and moves theirs. That's how this works. Not by permission, but by example. Every single person on this call is exactly one decision away from being in. And that decision is simply this: I will be the person who makes Monday different. That's it. That's the whole membership card, everybody. And because it's a movement, tonight I'm not only going to give, I'm going to ask 2 things. One, if you're already doing the work, one, if your organization isn't. If you are already doing this, if you've run a P5 analysis, if you've shifted a real project, if you have an outcome with a number on it, then I need to hear from you. Write the case study, reach out to us, send Lucille and I our LinkedIn message. We want to hear from you. Send us one project and one result, the one number that moved. And I know how that sounds, like admin, like homework on top of everything else. But let me tell you why it is, because it's the most leverage thing you can do, because your proof is the next person's permission. Think about what that actually changes a stubborn organization's mind, because they're everywhere. It's almost never another beautifully argued PDF for me. It's a colleague down the hall or three time zones away who did the thing and can show the result. That story walks into a boardroom that 100 of my slides could never enter, because it doesn't sound like advocacy. It sounds like evidence. You write up your one project, and somewhere you'll never see, someone you'll never meet, uses it to win an argument they were about to lose. Evidence travels, slogans don't. And if your organization isn't doing this, then come and talk to us about that. Name it. That's not a confession. It is certainly not a failure on your part. It's the single conversation I want most to have, because silence is exactly how good methods die quietly in a drawer. Tell us where it's stuck, and we'll help you build the case to move it. Because let's be honest about what this actually is. It's not about compliance. Yeah, it's out there. It's not about a box you tick for somebody else's annual report. Sustainability is innovation. It is resilience. It is how you build a project that can survive contact with the world that is changing faster than any plan we wrote for it. We don't do this because someone else told us to. We do it because now simply it's how you win. Now, when I first developed P5 as a concept, I proved its value in my city and county. For us, economic development was almost last in our state due to poor practices, long approval lines, red tape. We took that from almost 6 months down to 3 days. Organizations that didn't want to build or invest, they started to come in. We got a baseball stadium, hotels, restaurants, and housing, and they went quickly. We went from last to first in our state in economic development. We changed our practice, and we did so using the very basic model of what we have today. This is 2009 P5. You can see it has only a few elements, and then there's version in 2026, what we have today. So notice what I just did there. I didn't argue. I didn't make the case for why this matters. I didn't ask you to agree with me. I just simply told you what we did. That shift from arguing to reporting. It's the most important change you'll make ever. And it's exactly where I want to go next. I know this looks so archaic. At the time, this concept was so earthbreaking that this is going to change the world. And years later, it looks totally different. It's fun. So here's a habit I want every person watching this to break. Stop saying sustainability isn't a nice to have. Stop saying it's not just a side conversation. Stop saying we really should consider impact. Stop saying sustainability is important too. Listen to those sentences. Really listen. Every one of them is a defense. Every one of them argues on the doubter's terms, because the moment you say what something isn't, you quietly conceded that some reasonable person in the room thinks it is. And now you're playing on their pitch, by their rules, trying to claw back around. You should never have to give anything away. We've spent years as a profession apologizing our way into the conversation for sustainability. So stop. You don't have to do it anymore. The data is in, the standards are built, you've earned the right to assert. So don't say sustainability isn't a nice to have. Say, here are the benefits we realize with P5. Don't say, we should really consider impact. Say, a project that ignores its impact isn't ambitious, it's incomplete, and it's sad. Don't defend the idea that this matters. State it like the settled fact that it is, and let the person who is not doing it be the one who suddenly has to explain themselves. For once, put the burden of proof where it really belongs. This is how successful projects are run in 2026. Full stop. Say it like you mean it, because it's absolutely true. Now, I owe you the hard part because I can stand here and tell you to assert, to demand, to refuse to apologize. And I know that some of you are thinking, Joel, I would like to, but I'm not in the room where this all gets decided. You're right. And that right there is the real gap. Lucila gave you the number, right? 85% of executives are confident they'll hit their sustainability goals. 43% of the project leaders who would actually have to deliver on them don't share that confidence. It's a 42-point gap. And that's the whole game. And it's not a knowledge gap. Everyone inside the stat knows what to do. It's an authority gap. It's about who is in the room at the precise moment the go or no go decision is actually made, and whether anyone in that room is accountable for the impact, or whether everyone's just watching the schedule. Now, the sponsor guide, which comes out next month, names it in one unforgiving sentence. Decisions must be made at the lowest level of authority with full information. And when the authority is absent, when the person who should own the call simply isn't there to own it, the decision still gets made. It always gets made, just in a vacuum, just badly, by whoever happens to be holding it when the deadline arrives. So here's the truth, and I'm going to give it to you straight because you've earned straight. If the project you're on cannot see the value of this work, you're not yet in the right room. You do not yet have the decision authority, and no standard I write, not even the one shipping next month, can hand that to you. You've got to go and earn it, and then you have to own it. Own project success. So let me give you a first look at next month's sponsor guide, because it's really a guide about how authority is taken. Here's what the sponsor guide makes very explicit. Real authority over a project comes down to 4 decisions, and only 4. Authorize: should this project begin? Continue: should it proceed as planned? Change: should the mandate be adjusted? And stop: should we end it? Well, that's it. That's what authority actually is: the right and the nerve to make those 4 calls, and to keep making them as the world shifts under the project. And here's the uncomfortable thing that the guide really names. Most organizations are disciplined about exactly one of those 4 things. They approve projects with enormous rigor, and they almost never revisit that. They never seriously ask, continue, change, or stop again, right? Which means the hardest, most valuable decisions, the ones that actually protect, impact, and value, are the ones nobody's truly owning. They're just being absorbed quietly by whoever is the closest when it goes wrong. So understand what I'm really telling you. The authority is rarely going to be handed to you on a plate. Expect that. When I first started doing sustainability, people said, but I don't have the authority to do that. Of course you don't. Prove the value, and they'll let you do it. The title might never arrive, but the authority, the influence over those 4 decisions that you can take starting right now in 2 moves. You earn it by becoming a person in the room with full information, the one who saw the impact coming, who ran the analysis using P5, who could answer the question everyone else is guessing at. Information is how you get a seat at the table. No one can afford to leave out the person who actually knows, right? And you own it by making the call no one else is willing to make, and then carrying the consequence of it, not deferring it upward to a sponsor, not waiting for permission, saying this needs to change, and here's why. Or even this needs to stop, and standing behind it. Because in the end, authority is not a title someone confers upon you. It's a decision you make about yourself. It's deciding that you will be the person who owns that call and everything that follows from it. And the genuinely hopeful thing, the part I want to leave you with, is that we now know exactly how that's done. You do not argue your way into the room. You demonstrate your way in. 3 moves, starting tomorrow. Show what you can do. Run the P5 impact analysis on 1 project, not the whole portfolio, not the whole transformation program, 1 project, because 1 real outcome beats a year's worth of advocacy on my part. It's the one thing no one in the room can argue with because it already happened. It's true results. Second, share what you proved. Take that result and make it undeniable. Make it public. Put it where your leadership can see it and where the next practitioner can borrow it. Your evidence becomes the permission. and their evidence becomes the next person's, and that's how movement really compounds. So a few weeks ago, Lucille and I were in Seoul, and we shared the stage with Petronas, and they were talking about F1 and how they adopted sustainability. People's heads exploded. They couldn't believe that they're seeing that like major programs like this actually adopted these kinds of tools, but they do. That kind of evidence changes mind. So never, the third thing is never accept the status quo. The words, that's how we've always done it, has built nothing of lasting value in the entire history of the world. I built an entire ecosystem of standards precisely because that sentence is never good enough for me. And I'm asking you today to make it not good enough for you either. On the one project sitting in front of you right now, this is how the room gets taken, not by waiting to be invited in, by becoming impossible to be left out. So let me leave you with the truest sentence I know. We do not have a knowledge problem. We never did. We have all the knowledge, sometimes just palm of our hand, right? It's finally complete. What we have is an adoption problem. And an adoption problem is never solved by a smarter framework or a better chart or one more talk from me, for sure. It's solved by people, by you, by the decision you make when you close your laptop or your screen today and walk back into your organization tomorrow and choose quietly, where no one's watching, not to be the one you were yesterday, not to let the certificate slide into the drawer, but truly get the certificate though, because it's really a lot of value, to be the colleague whose one real result becomes 100 of other people's permissions. The argument's won. The toolbox is finished. The only thing left in the whole world is the courage to make it real. And that part was always going to be down to you. So before you log off tonight, I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm going to leave you with a question. The only one that matters right now. Carry it back to your desk and let it sit there until you've answered it on something real. What will you do differently in your projects? With that, I'll say thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you so much. I would like to, well, first, thank you for the amazing presentation. It's great to close also with a call to action. I would like to just mention something. You're going to be receiving a survey about the event, but also the survey will come with the opportunity to record a message. So we are in this movement to helping raise awareness. We are an ecosystem to learn, to connect, and make an impact. So it's also a chance to share your voice, share that call to action, make this a movement for good, and take action. And thank you, everyone, in particular, the PMI UK chapter, all the sustainability ambassadors, and Joel, I love, as always, presenting or co-presenting with you. Back to Bron, or I don't know. Yeah, Bron.
Great. Thanks, Lucilla and Joel. That was amazing. I've heard it several elements of that several times before, and I still love it. And there's still always quotes that I think just blow me away. So a couple of things that I noted as we were going through, and Lucilla, correct me if I got this wrong. Sustainability is a strategy without a system. So, you know, and Joel's talked so much there about adoption, but we really, as you both articulated so clearly, we need to start caring today. We need to start a movement. And in particular, I think Joel's quote around not by permission, by example, right? So, and I think the final takeaway for me was just around every project is a vote for the future. So we all need to kind of keep all of those calls to action in mind when we go away from today's session. I think what we want to do now is just pop over to some of the questions that we've started receiving in. So I'm going to try and take them in the order that they came in. Obviously, lots of positive things. Very insightful, inspiring session. Faisal's asked the question, how to convince the decision makers to incorporate or adopt sustainability into the project. What should be the first step?
Lucille,
Who'd
you
like
want
to
to
take that?
Yeah, I'm going to be brief, and then I can hop over to you. I think like coming back to one of the slides that I present, I think it's very important to show the value in terms of the business. So I think we need to manage the perception of people. If we're talking with people, I don't know, they are from finance, we need to talk their language. So I think it's very, very important how we put our power skills, our managing the perception skills. Behavior change happens with capability, opportunity, and motivation. So we need to develop and refine our capability, how we put all this knowledge that with Joel we co-presented today, and use every opportunity that we have to influence the conversation and to connect sustainability with business terms and very clearly articulate the value. Joel, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. And I'll give you a little cheat sheet. So there isn't a project sponsor in the world who does not want to have a great project, right? It's simply things they don't quite understand yet or quite follow. So we shared earlier that it's number one, it's the number one indicator of project success, right? So show them. P5 is free. Download it, upload it into your favorite AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and say, here's my project. What are we missing? And it's going to tell you. Show that to your sponsor. Go, did you know that we're going to have these kinds of issues? Or we're exposed as a business right here. Or our chief sustainability officer is doing a report that we can't even contribute to. That's a big gaping hole for us. They're going to go, I had no idea. What do we do? Let me learn. Let me go chase this down. Let me take some training. Because guys, it's all out there. But we can't wait for us to be told, let's do this. It's on us to actually go do this as professionals.
Great, thank you. I might chip in my 2 cents worth on that as well, which is, like I think even when you're kicking off a project, bringing the P5 to a kickoff meeting and like just working through it, having a conversation, starting to think about what aspects of it could you start applying immediately without even having to get the buy-in from your leaders. There's a lot that you're already doing, but you just need to just find those things that perhaps are the softer areas that you can just break some ground with and get moving. So kickoff meetings are great for pulling out your P5 and starting a conversation. Okay, other questions? I've got one here from Vishal. Sorry if I've pronounced that incorrectly. The P5 standards are represented as tough to explain to board members or as supervisors according to certain expert. They recommend using IPM wheels. What are your views regarding this?
So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, right? If you want simple, that's great. But executives who have to do regulatory reporting can't use simple in their reports. Projects are complex animals. And sorry, the work is not easy. That's why we train and certify people on this standard. If you look at CSRD, GRI, SBTI, all the other reporting entities out there, they're complex. And if we can't meet them with a simple coloring book and crayons, we have to be able to give them data. And that data lives inside projects. I'll tell you a fun fact. So there are over 14,000 companies that do GRI reporting every year. Only 2 that I know of include project data. And that's because we're not tracking and measuring it in our projects correctly. We built our standards based on the frameworks that are actually requiring this kind of data and work backwards. That way you can actually do your work, measure, manage, and report using the language that they already expect. So we don't have to try and make it up. That's really important. So yeah, simple is fine if you want to just dabble, but for real professionals, a professional tool is actually required.
Yeah, and I want to share something. In PMI, we always talk about the values that define the profession, and one of the values is aiming higher. So I think we should aim higher. We should not conform with simplicity, but simplicity is not what makes success. And we want to really maximize project success. So we need to aim higher and do the things right versus trying to simplify and impact the quality of what we are doing.
So we're all out of questions there, which I'm very surprised about. Any other questions from the audience? Any comments? I've got 3 minutes left.
I'm seeing the name, for example, of Stuart, who presented. Stuart always like very passionate about sustainability in Europe. in his work in Belgium. So it's very nice to also see people that have been working in sustainability for a long time. So we need to continue the movement.
Okay, well, we might wrap it up here. There's no other questions coming through. Thank you, everybody, for all the fantastic comments. Oh, hang on, there we go. We've got another one. Apart from CSRD, GRI, what other standards were there? Joel, please repeat if possible.
So here's the great thing. Go to pmi.org/learning/sustainability, download our reporting guide. We have a complete guide just for reporting, and the GRI is actually backing it. So there's over 200 ESG frameworks out there, guys, so I can't name them all. But we've taken the most comprehensive approach to all of them to ensure that you can actually take your projects and report on them. There's 10 different sectors we've cross-cut against, and templates and tools there to help you no matter what kind of project you're doing, whether it's AI or construction or finance, it's all there and easy to understand. And training coming later this year on that too, so it's coming. But again, download the guide, it's free, and let us know what you think.
Okay. All right. Well, let's wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Lucilla and Joel, for sharing your passion and expertise with us today. That has been absolutely brilliant.